If the idea of hosting a retreat scares you, you're not wrong. You just haven't seen someone like you in that role yet. But that changes today, because if you're scared, that means you're ready. We're so quick to assume that fear is a sign of not being ready, that we need to slow down and be more confident to be more like them. But what if fear isn't a red light? What if it's actually a signal that you are standing on the precipice of something that is real? That nervous energy isn't proof that you're unqualified. It's proof that you actually care. Fear shows up for people who are about to do something that actually matters. So let's start there with the truth. Fear doesn't disqualify you from leading. It's actually the doorway to doing it well. That flutter that you get in the pit of your stomach before your retreat begins, or before you do anything new for that matter, it isn't doubt, it's investment. It's your body's way of telling you that this matters to me. Even seasoned leaders like Amy Porterfield and Brené talk about having feelings of self-doubt and imposter syndrome. The difference isn't that the fear has disappeared, it's that they've learned to not take it as a sign that they're not ready. If you've been waiting for fear to disappear before you make your next move, you're going to be sitting there waiting forever. Because fear isn't there to hinder you, it's there to show you where your growth is. Anyone who's ever put on something meaningful knows that at the beginning, before it starts, there's this little hum of anticipation mixed with hope. And the second that people enter in that room, it shifts that hum. There's like this immediate exhale. And it turns into presence, it turns into purpose, and into this quiet knowing of this is exactly where I'm meant to be. We've been sold this idea that great leaders have to be this high energy, loud person, constantly moving, filling the space with air and filling the space with noise. Basically, that confidence looks like courage on stage. But real leadership isn't about volume, it's about your presence. Introverts often make the best hosts because they move with intention. They listen deeply, they make people feel seen. They read a room not to perform, but to make sure that everyone in that room feels safe and comfortable. That's the kind of leadership that changes lives, not the one who's shouting from the front of the room, but the one who's quietly holding space for everyone else to breathe. If you've ever left an event feeling completely drained because you were trying to match the energy of everyone else, that's not a flaw. That's feedback. It's your body's way of telling you there's a different way that you could be leading. Think of people like Brené Brown, Amy Porterfield, and Susan Cain, all self-described introverts. And yet, when they step into the room, everyone feels it. They don't dominate the space, they shape it. They create calm, grounded rooms where truth feels safe. They design connection instead of chase. Their power comes from clarity, not charisma. From design, not dominance. From connection, not control. And what's beautiful is the fact that anyone can do that. It doesn't come from personality, it comes purely from your presence. Some of the most impactful leaders are not the loudest ones. They're the steady ones, the ones that make silence feel comfortable, the ones that make that room feel held. Leadership doesn't require you to change your wiring. It just invites you to use it with purpose. Hosting isn't about absorbing everyone else's energy. It's about guiding it. You get to decide how fast the room moves. You choose the tone, the music, the moments of silence. Introverts are attuned to energy. They notice the unspoken things, like the undercurrents and the shifts of emotions. That awareness makes them powerful because instead of being reactive, they become more intentional. You don't have to hype people up. You can just bring them in. And most people really aren't looking for the loudest leader. They're looking for that person who makes them feel safe and feel comfortable enough to open up and actually be real with themselves. When you lead with calm, the room mirrors that, and that's where trust builds, and that's where shifts and transformations begin to actually take place. But before we keep going, if you're curious about what kind of host you are, I've made something for you. It's a quick quiz called What Type of Event Host Are You? And you can find the link down below. It's designed to help you discover your natural strengths when planning an event. It takes 2 minutes and it'll make this whole idea of hosting an event feel a lot lighter. Go ahead and check it out down below. Now back to it. Leading a meaningful event doesn't have to drain you. It can actually restore you if you build it the right way. You get to shape the pace, the structure, and the size of the group you're working with. You can design your mornings to be quiet and grounded with coffee, time for journaling, doing meditation. You can keep circles small, sessions shorter, or create more space for breaks. You can create breathing room for your guests and for yourself. When an event honors your rhythm, everyone feels at ease because your energy sets the tone. The more authentic the setup, the more magnetic it becomes. People don't come for the production. They come for the atmosphere and for your presence. It's not about impressing anyone. It's about creating a space for what actually matters. Here's the thing. Fear doesn't just vanish. It just softens when you actually step in. The moment the event begins, something shifts and you start to realize you didn't need to be louder. You just needed to be yourself. You see people exhale. You feel people relax. And that old fear, it starts to actually turn into gratitude. Because now you see proof right there in front of you. And that is that who you are is more than enough. Hosting becomes less about performance and more about you being present. Less about filling space and more about you holding it. And that's when you realize you were never trying to be a host. You were just trying to be someone that people feel at home with. Fear isn't the sign to stop. It's the sign that you're ready. And when you lead in your own way, you don't burn out, you build trust. You build space that people remember because you built something real. In the next video, we're talking about what happens after you say yes. How leading live doesn't just change how people see you, but how you see you. So go ahead, click this video on your screen right now.